Hello everyone, and welcome to another one of my video diaries for my writing and reading. My name is Matthew, and today is June 1st. I apologize if I seem incredibly sweaty. I just finished grocery shopping, and I'm actually doing this video quickly before I make dinner, so I have to get it done very quickly. Um, just to recap my week in terms of writing. Um, I didn't have a great week. I wrote 737 words, so that means I'm up to 28,192 words. So, in general, it was a pretty busy week. I had a lot of work that I had to do outside of my normal regular work. And as I mentioned in a previous video, I normally get up in the morning and I do a couple of hours of either writing or whatever. And I found I needed to use that time for the additional work that I was doing. So I didn't have much time to write. And I mentioned in my previous video that I was writing a short story and I didn't really work on that either. I wrote maybe another paragraph in it. Um, so I did feel like I was treading water this week. I wasn't really moving forward. And I also have to say that I mean, apart from the word count, I don't feel like I don't feel like I was fully engaged with the writing that I did do. I mean, I didn't hate it, but I wasn't feeling very encouraged to go along with the writing that I was doing. And all in all, my novel was kind of at the background of my thoughts this week. I think in general, I just had a bad week overall. I was feeling a lot of stress about things. You know, when you wake up and your jaw is all sore from the fact that you were like clenching your teeth all night. I had a bit of that. And so just in general, I was feeling uh, I was feeling very stressed out and I wasn't able to perform at my best. So I don't think I was really engaged with what I was doing. And I also felt that I've mentioned in previous videos that the section that I'm writing now is about one of the characters, and he kills himself, and I'm writing kind of the progression of thoughts that he has just before um, he kills himself. And so it's a bit of a dark chapter to be writing. I have to put myself in the position of someone who is slowly getting there. And um, you know, I have to try to think of not necessarily a logical way that he gets to committing suicide because, there isn't really any sort of like logical way that people do this. But it has to have some sort of emotional logic to it. And so, I mean, that in itself is a little difficult that I'm trying to put myself in the position of thinking, how would you get from here to here? And have it be some sort of emotionally resonant piece. So I think maybe that's a little bit of what's holding me back because it's kind of hard to plunge yourself into that. And I think it was also just it was a sad week. I mean, there was the shootings by that Elliot Rodger guy, and I watched a few of the YouTube videos that he made, and we're always when these things happen, we're always kind of wondering why they happen, and I mean that's kind of the questioning that's behind the section that I'm writing. Why did this person commit suicide? And I feel like looking at these videos, I was kind of asking similar questions. Why was this person driven to do what he did? And of course, there's no answers in those videos, and there never will be. And I mean, partially part of my book is about how there's not going to be really any answers as well. Um, and I mean, what struck me the most about his videos is, what I think a lot of people noted was the kind of Patrick Bateman quality of his videos. in that he seemed to have uh, have very banal ideas. I mean, apart from his whole misogynistic worldview, um, which was terrible and everything, and I want to acknowledge that. But uh, I mean, the things that he took pleasure in life were often really banal. Um, like he made videos of himself driving down the highway, listening to various 80s songs, and it was almost the same 80s songs uh, that Bret Easton Ellis wrote about in American Psycho, and that Patrick Bateman liked. And you know, the point that Bret Easton Ellis was sort of making was that, um, and I think it's kind of a long-standing kind of theory of how evil develops, is that it comes from very banal origins. It doesn't come from, you know, these profoundly different origins. It doesn't come, you know, uh, evil or things that are negative don't wear these, you know, grandiose, like evil, you know, like when we think of bad guys, they're always like kind of over the top and grandiose. And, you know, I think Bret Easton Ellis, when he was originally doing American Psycho, was really trying to point out that it's usually often a very banal person who commits these kind of awful crimes. And although my main character is not an awful person, he does not have the same sort of misogynistic worldview that Elliot Rodger had. He is approaching something that um, is is negative, and has a similar sort of, you know, shattering effect on the people around him. You know, we often say that suicide is one of the worst types of crimes because a murderer only kills one person, whereas a suicide kills the entire world. I mean, but at the same time, I'm not casting moral aspersions about suicides, but it is a profoundly upsetting act, and the uh, and it does really negatively affect a lot of people around it, and so you know, when my main character gets to that point, I have to create a logic for it, or some sort of emotional logic for it, and um, it's not. Uh, it's going to be, these watching these videos have made me realize this, that I can't, for it to be real, it can't have this sort of overly romantic, grandiose kind of feeling, because that's not what happens. You know, uh, people people are impelled to commit suicide on perfectly ordinary days. And I think that's the most terrifying part about it, and the most terrifying part about thinking about the incidents with Elliot Rodger. You know, that his victims were probably having perfectly ordinary days, and they suddenly encountered something that snapped through all of that, and that sort of break, that kind of shattering through what we feel is like the comfort of the banality of life, is kind of the horror, you know, the juxtaposition of having, oh, my day, you know, I feel like I'm comfortable, I'm protected in the sort of ordinariness of my day, and then suddenly this thing is broken out, this strange and terrible thing. And so, you know, I'm putting myself into this position of this character going through like a thoroughly banal day, and then somehow something extraordinarily, in many ways terrible, happens. So it's a bit of a rough going, to say. Maybe it wasn't my most excitingly upbeat choice, but there's going to be elements to it that I hope are going to be, I don't want to say uplifting, but they're going to create. I don't want this to be an entirely depressive, you know, thing, and I don't think it should be. I don't think that's what. Uh, I don't think that's the way life is. I don't think that's like the moral that I want out of this, or I mean, I don't want a moral at all, but I don't want people to feel that I'm just trying to prove that life is terrible. So, even though sometimes it doesn't feel so great to acknowledge that too. So that was a little confused. I don't know if that made a lot of sense, but yes. Anyway. So that's my writing. I'm going to keep writing this week. Hopefully it'll go better. I don't know. You know, these things kind of happen in cycles. I seem to have felt very positive last week, even though I didn't necessarily write a lot. And this week I feel not so great. And so maybe next week everything will be wonderful again. Who knows? I might be, my mood just might be like that 1 week up, 1 week down. Who knows? The other thing I wanted to tell you about was that I finished We Think the World of You. And it was good. It was not everything I thought it was going to be, but that's fine. You know, I said it was a gay book, and it is a gay book. It is only very slightly a gay book, and you could almost miss the kind of gay parts of it if you weren't reading close enough, which I guess is the point, because it is from the 60s, and a lot of this stuff had to be very carefully coded and, you know, very ambiguous. But, you know, reading it now, I'm like, oh, this is totally gay. But the thing I really wanted to mention was that one of the main characters in the book is a dog named Evie, and she's a German Shepherd. And I guess one of the excellent parts of it is that J.R. Ackerley does a really great job of portraying the dog as an individual and a character in her own right. And, you know, I really have to commend him for that, because when we often, you know, including myself as an author, we as authors write, we often don't think of animals as characters. We often think of them as like decoration or plot figures or something, you know, something to add flavor to the scene, you know. And he really does make Evie a major character in the book, and probably the most likable character. It's just the way it is. She's one of the most fully realized and most interesting and sympathetic characters. So, and I mean, I guess that's part of his social realist thing. You know, back when they were doing social realism, they kind of wanted to make everything really awful because they felt that was the way the world was. But he did manage to create a really compelling animal figure. So I have to commend him for that. So I've done that book, which means I have to start another book. And I don't actually know when I'm going to start, because I'm not really feeling any book that I want to write right now, or read right now. I have this one that I started last year, Javier Marias, Dark Back of Time. And it's pretty good. I wouldn't say it's driving me that much to read it, but, you know, I might finish it off. So I have that. I got Edmund White's A Boy's Own Story, half price at Chapters, because Chapters is closing, or the particular Chapters is closing. And I'm on a kind of, I should know more about Edmund White kind of kick. I have the Andrew Solomon, Far from the Tree, and I started this, and I found it really amazing. It's a little tough, you know, it's tough. It's tough, because it's really trying to confront a lot of things that we try to not confront in our lives. And so I should continue it. I'm on like page 200 of 700 pages, so if I start, I don't know if I'm going to be reading anything else for a while. I have the Keith Haring journals. I have to read those. I have Lydia Davis, the collected stories of Lydia Davis. I'm obviously not going to read all of them, but I should read more of them. I think I should put this in the bathroom. I don't know. I don't read things in the bathroom. It feels weird, too. It feels like you're saying she's not very good, but it's good. The ones I've read have been really good. And then I have the Italian Folktales by Italo Calvino. Don't know. Yeah, who knows if I'm going to read this. And then I also have my friend Euphemia Fantetti's collection of short stories, A Recipe for Disaster. I might actually read this next because I haven't finished reading it. I read one of the stories, but I haven't read all of them. And she just got nominated for a big award, so congrats to her. She's a lovely lady. She definitely deserves it. So yeah, I might read that next. We'll see. We'll see. We'll see how I'm feeling. But other than that, that's pretty much all I have to report for this week. I am dying for compliments. I'm dying for compliments. Of course, I'm dying for compliments. I'm dying for comments. So if you want to comment, you can send me an email at my email address, which is in the description box, or you can comment on the YouTube video because I have allowed comments, and you can become the second comment after yes. So that will be an honored spot, second person after yes. And apart from that, I don't really have much else to say. I hope you have a good week. I will try to write a lot this upcoming week. We'll see how I feel. But in any case, bye-bye. Have a good week.